Hi, my name is Waana Kaluwasha, and I'm a plant pathologist at Lincoln University of Missouri. I'm happy to share with you today about timber rot of tomatoes. Timber rot is a sporadic but devastating disease of tomato, also known as white mold or sclerotinia stem rot. It is caused by the soil-borne fungus Sclerotinia sclerotium, and disease development is favored by long periods of cool and humid weather. The disease is a big problem because the pathogen has a very wide host range, and the pathogen produces structures that are able to persist in the soil for many years. This could result in the buildup of inocula, which would cause disease in production systems where the crop is grown year after year, such as in greenhouses or high tunnels. The image on the right is just depicting some of the symptoms and signs associated with timber rot on a tomato plant. And so symptoms and signs of timber rot in tomato, a symptom will refer to the expression of a disease by a plant in response to a pathogen. And so you notice a change in your plant appearance compared to a healthy, normal plant. And so the image on the left is just showing symptoms. With timber rot, you notice water-soaked areas that start at the base of the plant and progress upwards. And as the disease progresses, you will also begin to see the appearance of white mold and also the formation of sclerotia, which are a sign, and sign referring to pathogen structures or products on or in the diseased tissue. It's a good practice to monitor for disease signs and symptoms because that is how we detect any problems that we might have out in the field or high tunnel. And so it is good to scout early and often, and scouting should be done at the base of the plant. I have a picture here on the right just to show an example sign associated with timber rot, which is the appearance of white mold at the base of the plant canopy. And so when scouting, you may want to have with you a notebook, a camera, a hand lens, pruners, plastic bags for samples, as well as identification resources. And so the next step, suppose you did find plants that have symptoms of timber rot, you will want to perform a diagnosis. And this is just trying to figure out what is wrong with the plant. And so we want to know information such as what the symptoms are, whether there are any signs of the pathogen, and what host plants have symptoms, what the distribution of symptomatic plants is like, and also what the weather patterns have been. With this information, there might be identification resources that could pinpoint or narrow down to potential diseases and or pathogens, but it is a good practice to get a few samples and send these over to a diagnostic clinic, such as that at the University of Missouri. And I have placed a link here that will provide more information. With regards to management of timber rot, we have 5 principles for any disease, namely exclusion. This will refer to practices that are keeping the pathogen away from the crop production area. And so practices such as using clean planting material or pathogen-free seeds. Secondly, eradication. The pathogen somehow finds its way into your production area, and so you're removing it after entry. Practices such as roguing, which would be taking out diseased plants, or fumigation. Thirdly, therapy, practices that will destroy a pathogen that's established, such as a heat treatment. And then fourth, we have practices that are categorized as escape or avoidance. And so these hinder the development of the pathogen or disease. This would include things like selecting a good site, cultural practices, or host resistance. And finally, protection, which refers to the use of chemicals that will protect your host plant from the pathogen. And so I'll go one at a time just to look at a few examples. Cultural practices, one option for management, and this will include things like selecting a good site, well-drained, no history of the disease, the use of resistant cultivars as well, and also appropriate irrigation, fertilization, plant spacing, as well as crop rotations, which would break the life cycle of the disease and the pathogen. Sanitation is a big one and very key for soil-borne pathogens such as Sclerotinia, which causes timber rot. And so sanitation should be done before, during, and after. And so this is just referring to you maintaining a good, clean production area, be it the greenhouse, high tunnel, or the field. And so using treated or certified growing media, things such as starting out with pathogen-free planting material, the seeds or the transplants, using pathogen-free irrigation water, removal of weeds, disposal of crop residues after every production season, and cleaning of any tools and or equipment used. Soil solarization is also another another option for management. In this method, you have the solar radiation trapped inside the plastic, and this heats up the soil surface upper layers to kill any soil-borne pathogens. This method is, however, climate dependent, and so that will depend on where you're situated and the amount of solar radiation obtained. And protection or the use of fungicides, referring to here chemicals that are applied to protect your host plant. And so fungicides for timber rot will be effective when applied at initial full bloom when the plants are more susceptible. And for chemicals, we recommend that you always read the label because that is the law. And so in summary, to manage timber rot successfully, it's good to know the pathogen, so accurate diagnosis and identification, understand the disease triangle. These are the host, pathogen, and environmental factors required for the disease to develop. Understand the disease cycle, detect the disease early and rapidly, and use a combination of methods. Thank you so much for your time. And if any questions, please feel free to reach out. Thank you.